You ever stop and think about how absurd it is, truly absurd, that in the year we're living in, women's nipples are still treated like national emergencies? That a natural part of the female body, something we are literally born with, something that nourishes babies, something that every single woman has, is still considered controversial. Offensive. Too much. I mean, let's just sit with that for a second. You want shocking? That's shocking. Because the reality is this: it was never about the nipple. It's about control. It's about who gets to decide what's acceptable. It's about how society has built an entire structure of rules, expectations, and double standards around women's bodies. And nipples. Oh, they just happen to be one of the most visible battlegrounds. You see a man take off his shirt, walk down a beach, mow the lawn, work out in the gym, and no one even blinks. But the second a woman's nipple is even suggested, not shown, just hinted at, suddenly it's inappropriate. It's vulgar. It's a scandal, a headline, a censorship flag, a violation of community guidelines. Ask yourself, why? Why have we decided that the exact same body part on a woman holds an entirely different meaning than it does on a man? Because biologically, same tissue, same function in a lot of ways. The difference isn't physical, it's cultural. It's the story we've been told. The story we've absorbed. The story we've repeated so many times that now we don't even question it. But we should. We absolutely should. Because this isn't just about nudity. This isn't about pushing people's comfort zones for the sake of rebellion. This is about ownership. It's about autonomy. It's about how women are expected to carry shame for simply existing in their bodies. And if we don't conform, if we don't cover, hide, shrink, downplay, apologize, we're punished. Ridiculed, hypersexualized, and that's the part that should make everyone stop and say, wait, what are we doing? We're raising girls to be afraid of their own skin, to be afraid of being seen, to believe that attention is always dangerous, that attraction is always their fault, and that modesty is their responsibility, as if the burden of male behavior rests on female choices. We teach them to be careful, to be quiet, to be compliant. And then we wonder why so many grown women struggle with confidence, with identity, with standing in their power. You want to hear the truth. The real, raw, uncomfortable truth. We've spent centuries conditioning women to disconnect from their own bodies, to feel shame for being too much, or not enough. Too exposed, too sexual, too loud, too visible, and at the same time, we've built entire industries that profit off of objectifying those same bodies. You ever notice how breasts are totally acceptable when they're being sold to you? In ads, in movies, on billboards, on runways. As long as they're airbrushed, styled, and served for someone else's gaze, suddenly they're not controversial anymore. They're beautiful, desirable, marketable, but the second a woman shows her body for herself, not for sales, not for attention, not for approval, suddenly she's asking for it. Suddenly she's a problem. That is manipulation. That is hypocrisy. And we need to call it what it is. Because I don't care if you never want to take off your shirt in public. I don't care if you live in turtlenecks. This isn't about what you choose to wear or show. It's about whether you have the choice. And right now, most women don't. Because the second we make that choice, to breastfeed in public, to go braless, to post a photo that shows a little too much skin, the judgment rolls in like a damn tsunami. People project their discomfort, their insecurities, their outdated beliefs, and they turn our bodies into battlegrounds for morality wars we didn't sign up for. It has to stop. We need to raise our daughters, and our sons, in a world where female bodies aren't taboo. Where nipples aren't treated like weapons. Where women aren't trained to constantly self-monitor for fear of offending someone else's fragile sense of what's proper. We need to normalize what's natural. To unlearn what was never ours to carry. And to create space where women can simply be, unapologetically, unashamedly, and fully. Because if we can't even handle the sight of a nipple without losing our collective minds, we've got bigger problems than modesty. We've got a societal sickness that tells us women's bodies are only acceptable under male control, under strict guidelines, under layers of shame. And that sickness spreads into policy, into law, into healthcare, into how we treat survivors, into how we treat mothers, into how we treat girls. It's not just about skin. It's about systems. So no, women's nipples are not the shocking reality here. The shocking reality is how threatened people are by female freedom. The shocking reality is how deep this conditioning goes. The shocking reality is how many women are still made to feel ashamed of their own anatomy. And the most shocking thing of all, we've accepted this for far too long. But not anymore. We are waking up. We are unlearning. We are reclaiming. We are taking up space. Physically, emotionally, socially, politically. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Growth starts with discomfort. Because I'll tell you what's truly indecent. Censoring biology. Shaming mothers. Policing bodies. Silencing women. Our nipples. They're not shocking. Our audacity to exist without shame. That's what shakes the system. So let it shake.